everyone. I'm Mackayla. Welcome to the Soundtrack of Our Lives podcast. We're going to jump right in with the two hardest questions of all. Who are you and what have you been up to recently?
Hello, my name is Alessio Peck. Um, what I've been up recently? I've been up to a bunch of things. Um, actually, just got back from Milan. Um, I was invited to go for a party there for the Fashion Week, so spent some time there. It was cool. I'm back in Paris now. Trying to make more music.
You just put out some music too.
I did just put out some music. Yeah, but the work's never over. You need to keep making music
hmm
every day.
Do you make music every day?
I do. I try to make music every day. Yeah, this is the place where I work. This is my atelier. This is Francois, uh, a friend whom I share the atelier with. Yeah, I try to get busy, try to stay focused. Make music all the time. The music that's just coming out now actually was made quite a little while ago. So it takes time to put stuff out.
hmm Is it weird that you made it so long ago and you're finally sharing with the world now?
Um, is it weird? I don't know. I wouldn't say it's weird. I'm kind of used to that by now, but it's definitely interesting. I would say more than weird. I would say it's interesting because it's stuff that I made in a particular. I feel like music or any type of art you make is very much related to a particular time of your life when you're making it. So
hmm
it's interesting to listen to stuff that I made in a particular period of my life and kind of it's very intense actually I would say because it takes me back to a to a particular feeling or like a particular way I used to feel when I wrote that music. It's still relevant, but it's almost like a statement of the time I was in, so it's quite interesting. Yeah.
hmm So when you sit down to write a song, what does that process look like for you?
It varies. It varies radically, actually. I guess when I was writing the music that's coming out now, it was a little bit more, I would just say, methodic, maybe, because I knew I had to write a bunch of songs. I
hmm
had to make an album. So um, I tend to start with the music anyway. I don't really, I mean, singing and writing lyrics, it's not that new to me, I guess, but it's definitely not the background I come from. I've always been an instrumentalist
hmm
musician, so I always start with the music, and then for this album actually I had to make a point out of writing as much as possible lyrics. I'm talking about because the music comes very very easy to me. Like I just sit down whatever instrument and make music, but um, lyrics different. I found out actually while I was working on this album, I found that I really need to have like a writing practice in place, So I was keeping a journal and I was writing a lot, just not songs per se. I was just jotting down a lot of ideas or
hmm
ways I felt or things I wanted to get out, and then from that try to use those to fit them into lyrics to the music that I would come out with. I guess that's what the writing process looked like for this album.
hmm I like it. I like that you're making a point to work on your writing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, it's as musicians, it's kind of like it's second nature for them to like practice, like if you like I come from a background of being a guitarist, so for me like practicing, but I guess any instrument you play, you practice, right?
hmm
Like you don't always just sit down and go like I'm going to write a song. I mean, I guess there's people that do that, but yeah, I feel like if you're like a classically trained musician or any kind of like trained type of musician, practicing is very important. So you have like a practice in place that you're always gonna do, and then a lot of the time stuff comes out of practicing something. You get good ideas out of practicing your instrument, and so I feel like I try to use that mentality to writing lyrics as well, because I just found it hard when I sat down and started thinking, I started writing lyrics not long ago, probably like in 2018 when I went solo, because before that I used to play in bands and I wasn't really writing much lyrical material. So I started doing that, just sitting down and like, I'm going to write a song now. And I found it very hard, like, and then I realized, well, that's not what I do with music. With music, I would just sit down and play my instrument
Hmm.
and see where that takes me. So I figured maybe it's a good idea to just sit down and write whatever it is that I feel like writing and see where that takes me. And that's a process I found very useful.
I'm glad that you found a way that works.
I don't know if it works. It definitely, I don't know if it works. I don't know if it's the ultimate way to write songs, but I think it makes it easier because at least you have material. You get stuff out of yourself, and then it's easy from that to try to. You have more material to work with, let's say. So definitely helpful to do that.
Hmm. What was the hardest part in transitioning from being in bands to being solo?
That's a good question. I think that one of the hardest parts, and still now, I would say, is being alone in a way. It's
Hmm.
it's nice to have people to share the experience of making music with. So a band is really lovely in terms of you have that shared experience. There's that camaraderie, and there's the bouncing off of ideas. Not just in making music, but also performing. You performing with a band is totally different than performing by yourself. When you perform by yourself, you're putting on the show. You have to think about the performance and what you're gonna do. I mean, it's all on your shoulders. And when you're performing with a band, you're just having fun with other people. And I
Hmm.
guess it's the same with writing. You always it's a complete different process from my point of view. So definitely, I think the hardest part is um, the hardest part of being solo is being solo. I think you know.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of positive aspects to it. I mean, like being in a band is like being married to several people. So it's complicated marriage. Being a solo artist means you get to decide whatever you want to do. You don't have to discuss it with anyone. But it also can lead to tunnel vision in terms of like it's hard to get out of your own head when it's
Hmm.
just you. I mean, I rely a lot on. I still work with other people in terms, I have a team. Like I always bounce ideas off like my team at the label or my manager, but especially the producer I'm working with. That's very helpful. But with the band, um, I feel like that process starts at the very inception of it. Just when you get together and you start making music together, you're already bouncing off ideas and see what works, what doesn't, and it kind of keeps you from being stuck within your own head and your own vision. And when you're solo, it's you've got to consciously make an effort to get that feedback and not get
Hmm.
tunneled in your own perspective.
Definitely easier said than done.
To not get stuck in your own vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But for me, it's like I always really enjoyed. I think I shine the most when I'm working with other people. That's why I try to always have a producer to work with. I do production myself as well, but I'm not the best producer in town. But I could produce stuff by myself. But I make a point out of working with other producers because that helps me get out of that one-sided vision of things. Because
Hmm.
otherwise, it is very hard to get out of that. Sure.
Yeah. How does having knowledge of the production influence how you work with the other producers?
You mean like knowing how to produce?
Yeah.
How does that influence working with other producers? Well, actually, it doesn't so much because I mean, knowing how to produce as like a technical skill, it's something that I wouldn't compare to working with another producer. First of all, because the producers I get to work with, luckily, I'm lucky enough to work with top level producers where like I wouldn't even compare myself to them. It's like I could make a track by myself, sure, but working with someone like Ross Orton or Mark Colan is these guys are like they put in the years, they have so much more experience, so like even technically speaking, I'm nowhere near to them. And on from an artistic point of view, I think the whole point for me of picking a producer I'm working with is because I trust their taste and their artistic vision. And so when I work with a producer, I'm reliant on their artistic vision. I need to trust what they see and what they hear, because
Hmm.
otherwise it'd be pointless. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if that's what you meant by the question, but the way I get it is like, if I don't know if that's what you meant, but if the question was like, knowing how to produce, do you look at what the producer is
Hmm.
doing as
Yeah.
if what you would do? No, at all, not at all.
Do you learn from them for your when you go to produce other music?
Um, you know what? I wish I did a lot more than how much I actually learned from them, because by now I would be such a much better producer. But the reality is that when I get in the studio with a producer, I'm focused on the writing. I'm focused
Hmm.
on my job, which is basically, like my songwriting, the choices that I want to make on the songs, and I try to just keep my seat in terms of, like, I know I'm the artist and they're the producers, and because I do that, I don't actually pay too much attention to what they're doing,
Hmm.
technically speaking. Like, my favorite part of working with the producer is actually like talking about what we're gonna do in terms of like vibe and stylistic choices and stuff like that. But when it comes to like technical things that they're doing, like using this preamp or that compression or that particular microphone over there, I'm just completely not looking at that at all. So yeah, I don't think I learn as much as I could theoretically, but also that's okay, because that's, if I'm in a studio with a producer, my job is being the artist, not the
Hmm.
producer.
Is it hard to kind of switch off and just be either the artist or the producer?
um I would say it's hard. To what's harder is to let go of my idea of what we should be doing,
Hmm.
which is in part, which is, traditionally speaking, it is production. I mean, like, now people talk about music production and all they think about is using Ableton or Fruity Loops or whatever to make tracks. But originally, I'd say back in the day, production was really direction almost.
Hmm.
Like, you can get like a sound engineer to do the technical side, the technical work in the studio. But if you look at people like Rick Rubin, for example, his idea of production and what he actually does as a producer is mainly just sitting there listening and giving his own input. And
Hmm.
so I think that that's hard as an artist to, let's say, I wouldn't say completely give up that role, because it's okay to have your own ideas and your own vision, but being open to the guidance that the producer can give you, which I
Yeah.
think it's I mean, it's what you're working with the producer for, really.
Hmm.
Otherwise, just you do by yourself. Then, you know what I'm saying, and that's hard, because I mean, I feel like every artist is a little bit of I mean, as artists, we're very self-centered, and we think we know everything, like, and it's a trap. It's totally a trap. So it's good to do that, and it's also very hard to do that.
Hmm. What advice would you give to somebody who's kind of struggling to give up that creative, you know, um, to just hand it over to somebody else and trust them?
What advice I would give them? Huh. I would say this. I would say that a lot of the time, what you think is your best work is not, and many times what you disregard in terms of what you think it's not really that great. That's what uh, people might connect with the most.
Hmm.
And I would say that for you to be able to distinguish that by yourself, it's maybe not impossible, but almost. And so you need to rely on someone else that you trust. Not anyone. Like, I'm a big advocate for criticism and for keeping an open mind about that. But also, it's easy to fall into the trap of listening to anyone and what they
Mm-hmm.
think, and ultimately it's your art. So it's important for you to have a solid ground on what you want to do and not just follow whatever anyone is saying. But that's the role of the producer. You pick that one person, you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to let this guy help me distinguish, separate the wheat from the chaff,
Mm-hmm.
and you will see that a lot of stuff that you didn't think it would work will actually work, and a lot of stuff that you thought was gonna be the next big hit, actually, when you start working on it, it's not really working. That you can only see that if you're working with someone else. As a solo artist, if you have a band, that's great. You don't have that problem because your drummer or your bass is gonna tell you, dude, that sucks. Let's leave it. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm. So, what would you say was the biggest thing you had to learn about like yourself and your songwriting style when you switched to being solo?
Biggest thing I had to learn. Well, for me personally, this is not so philosophical as much as it is maybe technical. Was writing, like writing lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my background, it was like, I started playing guitar when I was a little kid, so I was always a guitarist. I studied music, I studied theory for many years, and then I had several bands, and I moved to bass. Then I went back to guitar, and then I started doing tours with different bands as basically as a session musician, also working in studio to record other people's music that they had written. So I was very much a musician,
Mm-hmm.
and I never really had to focus on the lyrics. I also worked with a lot of great frontmen, you want to call them, or singers that if I worked with someone as a singer, like if I was working with a singer in a band or whatever, it's because I thought they were really great and I really loved the lyrics they wrote. So that's something I never worried about. And then when I went solo, that was like kind of a new world for me. Just putting lyrics to the music I was making was a new challenge, let's say. So that was probably the hardest thing to learn. And the way I found out, the way around it, I found, as I was telling you, is to just start writing, actually, for the sake of writing, because I always made a lot of music and I never really wrote as much. And then since going solo, I actually started writing. I just write a lot more now, like not just music, not just songs. I'm talking about just write. I just write out of feel. I just keep a journal. I write ideas I have, or I like to write newsletters. I like to read a lot. I always did, but now I write a lot more. So that's something that came with switching from being a band member to being a solo artist that also has to write lyrics. That was a
Mm-hmm.
challenge.
So, do you put out any of the newsletters that you write?
I do actually. I do write a lot of stuff that never sees the light of day, and I think that's okay. I mean, I do that with music too. But I do write quite a bit of newsletters. You can subscribe to my Alessio Peck newsletter. Actually, I haven't been very active on that lately. I should pick it back up. But yeah, I do. I read a lot of newsletters. Actually, I just love newsletters in general. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of social media, but I like to be connected with stuff that I like. So I'm probably the biggest newsletter subscriber out there. Like if you have a website and I like your website, I'm definitely subscribing to the newsletter because I'm not following you on Instagram. So I would actually this is a good chance to encourage people to have newsletters, because people like me, I find your blog, I really like it. And if there's no newsletter, I'm like, how am I gonna follow this? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
I sound like I'm freaking 60 years old, but dude, newsletters are like king.
How do you balance not liking social media with an age where everyone is on social media?
Um, we're getting into this now. Um, you know what? And this is just me. I'm a pretty radical when it comes to that. But I think social media is pretty dead. I mean, like this is a conversation I've had with people. I haven't been. I mean, I am on social media. I'm not gonna lie. Um, to be honest, I don't spend much time on there, and I don't use it very much. But I think it's dead, man. I mean, it's the social media is so 2015. If you get if you get my drift, I feel like now it's so dead. It's literally just bots and advertisement bots and like superficial content to get likes and follows. And I mean, I just cringe when I go on social media. It's just it's very low experience. And the fact that people are on there, and it's true, there's still a lot of people on there, even though I think a lot of people are leaving and finding other things, like Substack has become a really big thing now. I think that the reality of it is that people just can't get out of it. I think a lot of people want to get out of social media. Like they consciously know it's shit and it's
Hmm.
bad for their brains. It's depressing. It's a waste of everyone's time. They know they want to get out of it. Everyone I talk to, they're like, yeah, no, I know you're right, man. I should also get a 2G phone. I mean, this is my phone, by the way. So
Nice.
and everyone sees that and is like, dude, yeah, me too. I totally want to quit my smartphone. I need to get out of social media, but I can't because of my job, because of my work. The reality is that we're addicted. We're so fucking addicted to this shit. We know it's horrible and we know we should be getting out of it. There's not much to be gained from it. But it's at this point, I think people are just so addicted to it, they can't get out of it. And um, I think I don't know. I just don't enjoy spending time on it anymore. It's been like a while now that I even quit my smartphone. So I don't know. I get your point. It's something that everyone talks about with me, especially. People try to convince me that I need to be on social media, and don't get me wrong. I'll make the posts I have to make,
Hmm.
but man, I don't care. I mean, like if you're only on social media and you don't care for anything else that's not on social media, cool. You're not the fan for me. This is, I don't need to be like in front of everyone. It's
Yeah.
okay for people to like you and people not like you. If you don't listen to any artist that's not on social media, that's cool. Don't listen to me, man.
Hmm. I mean, technically, you are on social media.
You're right. I am on social media. I sound like a total hypocrite. I am on social media. I just don't really use it that much, and yeah. I feel like if artists that are on social media, they spend so much time doing it, and some of them I know some actually very well that had viral videos on TikTok and stuff like that, and that led to like millions of views, and then somehow translated to streams. And I don't really know how much more they got out of that, but I know them personally, and I can tell you that like 90% of the time, 90% of their time is spent on social media. Like they spend 90% of the time to try and get that viral video going. So like they're
Hmm.
making content, they're making videos of themselves talking every day, all the time about whatever. And to me, it's just sad. I mean, it just saddens me. So I'll make the post I have to make for my song to come out, but I'm not doing that whole charade. I find it dumb as hell. I mean, I like to make music. I don't like to be on social media, which is probably stupid of me because like if you're not doing that, you're never gonna get anywhere. But hey, you know what? I don't care.
At least you're standing for what you believe in.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're not trying even though you hate it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not trying to say that like who's doing that is doing wrong and shouldn't do what they're doing. I'm totally okay if you want to be an influencer, go do that, totally. But yeah, it's just not what I want to do. I mean, I'd rather focus my time on making music, playing, writing, and working with people I want to work, and making art that it's something I can stand behind for the next 20 years, and not just something that was viral and cringy and works in 2024 and like 3 years, or like Instagram's gonna shut down, TikTok is gonna be riddled by bots. People are gonna remember you for that viral 15 minutes, 15-second snippet of a dumb song you wrote that did go viral, but like that's you, that's who you are, that's what you made.
Hmm.
Um, so great for you.
I like it. Before I ask the last question, is there anything else you want to mention or talk about today?
Oh, we're done already?
We can keep going if you want.
No, it's cool. I thought it was gonna be a lot longer. No, that's fine. What? Sorry, what's the question?
Is there anything else you wanted to mention or talk about?
Yeah. So my first EP just came out. It's called Angel Machine EP, and it's 3 tracks. Two of which are not in Italian, and there will be a lot more music after that. In fact, there's 9 tracks in total that are going to be coming out over the next few months. And yeah, I'm very excited for this music to be out. It's very important to me. It defines a period of my life. It was produced by one of my favorite producers in the world, Ross Orton. Shout out to Ross. And yeah, I hope you guys are going to give it a listen. And I don't know if you're going to see it on Instagram, probably not, but look it up on Google.
Okay, our last question is, what is the soundtrack of your life?
What is the soundtrack of my life? The soundtrack of my life right now is like sirens and ambulances and police cars and people shouting on the street because I live in central Paris, unfortunately. I mean, I love it, but unfortunately, that's the soundtrack to my life until I put my headphones on and make weird, repetitive machine music for several hours until my ears hurt. But yeah.
I like it. You just knew right off the bat what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I wish you could hear what's going on out here, so you would figure it out as well. But yeah.
So, for all of our listeners who want to stay updated on you, hear the music when it eventually comes out, where can they find you?
Well, I would suggest you guys find me on Bandcamp. Just look for Alessio Peck on Bandcamp. And eventually the new music is going to be put up there. All my old releases are there. You can also look up Alessio Peck on all your favorite streaming platforms. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, go ahead. I won't follow you back, but you can definitely follow me there. And maybe in a couple of months, I will make a post.
So, Instagram is not the place to find all the information.
Um, I guess it is right now, but I think what you want to do is just keep an ear out and read your favorite blog, listen to podcasts like this, sign up to newsletters from tiny little webzines, and then maybe you'll find out
And your
Alessio Peck's
newsletter.
music. And my newsletter, yeah, for sure, which I should probably put a link on somewhere. It will be on my Instagram. I'll put a link to my newsletter on my Instagram profile for you guys.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Have a nice rest of your day.
And you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Listeners, go check them out and don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Blue Sky, and TikTok at STO Lives Podcast. Thanks for listening.